Hi there guys, John here from my family farm in Magubas Kloof in Zanin, in Limpopo actually. If my friends are not from South Africa, Limpopo is right on the top of South Africa and Cape Town's right at the bottom. Beautiful part of the world, lots of agriculture up here, as you can see. What's going on behind me there, there's my mom's garden, which she loves doing all the time. They farm avos and raspberries here in guest houses. But I wanted to make my last video for the year, and I was kind of like brewing in my mind what really the theme was for next year. And Eric and I speak about it on our podcast, The Expansive, on sort of the word of the year. And I really got to think, like, because of COVID, because of all these big plans that we all had being taken away, we've really got to come down to the very basics and the most important things for us. While we can't move around and while we don't have these aspirations to grow globally or whatever they may be, we've really got to get down to the localized sort of focus point of what are the most important things that we need to start measuring. And in fact, my new book is called 10,000 Days. It's very much about this. It's about what are we measuring that gives us the maximum amount of joy. And COVID-19 has been the gift that has given us this opportunity to really focus in on what is it that's most important. And I think that you'll all agree that it's connection. And there's many TED Talks and there's many research papers that have shown the fact that connection, intimate connections, friendship connections, these are really by far the most important things that we can focus on to bring about the maximum amount of joy. So with this in mind, I started to think about this a few months ago actually, and because of kind of being cooped up in my apartment in Clifton and kind of like working there and sleeping there and living there, I thought, well, how do I go about focusing in on relationships? And so I've been really successful in many aspects of my life, but in relationships, well, definitely intimate relationships with my marriage and an ex-girlfriend, I always find it difficult to kind of get that intimate relationship part right. We all want that sort of romance, that sort of connection, but somehow when we get into it, it's like really kind of weird to work through. And I'm surrounded by friends that are bachelors, so that doesn't help either. So with that in mind, I started reading this book. It's called Attached, The Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find Love and Keep Love. And it's really just blown my mind. And I thought this is the perfect thing to talk about and something to bring about to everybody's attention, because I had no idea I was suffering from something out of this book. So what this book says, it says that there's 3 types of people in the world. Plus minus 50% of the world are stable in their intimate relationships. They're nurturers. They understand to hold space for each other. And I have some friends like this. In fact, my mom and dad's marriage is like this. I see my dad and my mom really hold space for each other. It's really beautiful to see. But then you get the other 50% of the human population that are mixed between anxious and avoidant. Anxious people are usually people that are more in love with the idea of love than love itself. They're anxious to lose the love, so they do anything they can to hold on to their love, letting go of their own persona and their own power in order to be able to create that love. And then you get the avoidant people that are too scared to let people come too close. They are scared to let people see inside. They are scared of intimacy. And the word intimacy is a great example of it. Into me you see. So really scared of letting people into me you see. And so I have, for the longest time in my relationships, been an avoidant. And I had no idea why I was an avoidant. I didn't even know I was an avoidant. I just felt freaked out when it became too intimate. So I kind of had to run away. And I never understood why, because like everybody else listening to this video, you want to be in a nice unit and a family that there's the connection and the real true idea of joy comes from this shared happiness, And so now that I've realized this, it's got 3 reasons that people are avoidants or anxious. Is 1, it's lineage, so it comes from your family or your father or your mother. 2, the way you watched your parents and how you learned that from them, as well as the way your brain's structured. So you have these 3 different ways that why are you in to be one of these types, a stable, an anxious, or a nurturer. And often you get people that are anxious who attract avoidance. And so there's this toy between anxious people not kind of grabbing onto somebody and an avoidant person who continues to confirm the story that people are just so needy. They attract anxious people. And so what people who are anxious always complain that they find narcissists. And that's exactly it, is that you attract a narcissist because you are willing to give up your power to be in the relationship. And so, I mean, listen, look, you got to go read this book. If you're in a relationship, or if you're wanting to get into a relationship, or if you don't know how to get into a relationship, or if you've been stuck about relationships, this has just blown my mind. So, I'm already seeking therapy, and I'm already seeking people to help me understand this. And I think the most important part of healing any aspect of ourselves is naming it. And then while we name it, is to actually then go about understanding how to heal it. And for me, the major idea is this concept of happiness is only real when it's shared. And it comes from that movie Into the Wild, where that guy went into the Alaska and went to go live by himself in a bus, and they found him dead because he couldn't get his way back, or he couldn't come back into civilization. And the last entry he had in his diary was, happiness is only real when it's shared. And so whatever success we have in life, if it's not shared, it just becomes pointless. My dad has a great saying. He says the great partner in life is somebody who doubles your joy and halves your pain. So whatever you're going to be focusing on for 2021, remember that whatever it is, if it's not shared, it's only half felt. And for the people that are stable, lucky you, because it's obviously not your challenge in life. And for the rest of the 50% of the human population, we have to deal with understanding anxious and avoidant and trying to heal those things. For everybody that's been with me on social media this year, I want to say thank you so much for sharing the journey. It's been a hell of a tumultuous year, and I really do think that next year is going to be as hard, if not harder. So buckle up, focus on the most important things, bring in those deep connections so that you can share the joy and halve your pain. Ciao.